It's 3:17 a.m. The digital clock on the nightstand blinks, mocking me with its precise measurement of my misery. I haven't slept, not a wink. How could I? Every time I close my eyes, I see her face. Hear that laughter. God, that sound. It wasn't cruel, not exactly. More like surprised. Like I'd told some absurd joke, completely missing the punchline myself. I proposed at dinner. She laughed and showed me the ring her boss gave her. It sounds like some trashy headline, doesn't it? Something you'd scroll past on your phone, maybe click on out of morbid curiosity. But it's my life. My spectacularly imploded life. The laughter keeps echoing. It's a clean, bright sound, incongruously cheerful against the backdrop of my shattered expectations. It ricochets around the bedroom, bouncing off the walls, the ceiling, the very air I'm trying to breathe. Each echo is a tiny, sharp shard of glass, lodging itself deeper into my chest. I can almost feel them accumulating, weighing me down, suffocating me. I get up and walk into the living room. Moonlight spills through the window, painting silver streaks across the floor. Even the moon seems to be mocking me. A proposal, a laugh, another man. A nightmare come to life. Moonlight. It's supposed to be romantic, right? Not tonight. Tonight. It's just a spotlight on my failure. I keep replaying the whole evening, searching for clues, for some sign I missed. It was supposed to be perfect. La Petite Fleur, her favorite restaurant. I'd booked it weeks in advance, practically begging the maitre d' for a decent table. Corner booth, overlooking the little fountain. I even remembered the dam flowers, white lilies, her favorite. God, I was so proud of myself. The wine was a 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon, the one we'd shared on our first anniversary. I'd spent hours researching it, making sure it was the exact same vintage. Details. Details. I thought I was being thoughtful, romantic. Now it just feels pathetic. Like I was trying too hard, compensating for something I didn't even realize was missing. I even rehearsed the proposal, you know? In the mirror, in the car, whispering it to myself as I walked down the street. You make me a better man. I can't imagine my life without you. Cheesy. I know, but it felt right. It felt us. Now, it feels like a script for a play I was never meant to be in. A play that ended in a punchline I didn't write. But even before the proposal, something felt off. Subtle, almost imperceptible. Like a slightly out-of-tune note in a beautiful melody. I just didn't register it. Or maybe I did, and I chose to ignore it. That's the thing about blind spots, isn't it? They're invisible until you crash into them. She was distant. Not cold exactly. Just preoccupied. Her eyes kept darting around the restaurant. As if she was looking for someone. Or avoiding someone. I told myself she was nervous. Pre-proposal jitters. A logical explanation. I clung to it. She picked at her food. Barely touching the lobster risotto she usually devoured. Made some comment about a deadline at work, about her boss breathing down her neck. I remember nodding sympathetically. Offering to rub her shoulders later. God, the irony. She smiled, a quick, fleeting thing that didn't quite reach her eyes. A practiced smile. I should have seen it then. Should have recognized the strain, the disconnect. But I was too busy congratulating myself on orchestrating the perfect evening. Too caught up in my own little fantasy. I was so focused on the destination, I completely missed the detour. The detour she'd already taken. Then came the moment. I signaled the waiter, who brought the ring box hidden inside a dessert plate. Cliched, I know, but she loved those kinds of gestures. Or, at least, she used to. I cleared my throat, my heart hammering against my ribs. I launched into the rehearsed speech, stumbling over a few words, but mostly sticking to the script. I got down on one knee, the velvet box open, revealing the ring I'd spent months saving for. A vintage solitaire, just like she'd always wanted. And then the laughter. It wasn't a giggle, not a nervous chuckle. It was a full-blown laugh, the kind that makes your stomach ache. Her eyes widened, and she threw her head back, the sound echoing through the restaurant. People turned to look, their faces a mixture of amusement and curiosity. I froze. My carefully constructed world shattered into a million pieces. The ring box trembled in my hand. The speech I'd practiced evaporated from my mind. All I could do was stare at her, my face burning with confusion and a growing sense of dread. The laughter continued, a soundtrack to my personal apocalypse. Finally, the laughter subsided, replaced by a strange, almost pitying look in her eyes. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice soft, almost apologetic. I should have told you." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small, velvet box. My stomach clenched. Not another one. She opened it, revealing a ring. A much more modern design than the vintage one I'd chosen. Flashier, more expensive looking. A diamond that sparkled under the restaurant lights with an almost aggressive brilliance. "Mark asked me last week," she said, her voice flat. He's my boss." And I said yes. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Mark. Her boss. The guy she complained about constantly, the one who overworked her, the one who took credit for her ideas. Mark. "He gave it to me a week ago," she continued. "I didn't know how to tell you. I'm so sorry." It was like a punch to the gut. All the air rushed out of my lungs, leaving me gasping for breath. I stared at the ring, then at her face, searching for some sign that this was a joke, a cruel, twisted prank. But there was nothing, just a cold, hard truth staring back at me. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen, the ring box still clutched in my hand. Time seemed to warp and distort, stretching out into an eternity of stunned silence. The sounds of the restaurant faded into a muffled hum, as if I were underwater. People were still staring, whispering. I could feel their eyes on me, but I couldn't bring myself to meet their gaze. Shame washed over me, a hot, stinging wave that burned from the inside out. I wanted to scream, to yell, to demand an explanation. But the words wouldn't come. My throat was constricted. My vocal cords paralyzed. All I could manage was a weak, pathetic gurgle. I wanted to ask her why. Why Mark? Why now? Why couldn't she have told me sooner? But the questions remained trapped inside my head, swirling around in a chaotic vortex of confusion and pain. I should have said something. Anything. But I just froze. I became a statue. A silent observer in my own personal tragedy. I ceded control of the narrative, allowing her to dictate the terms of my humiliation. And that, I think, is what I regret most of all. Not the proposal. Not the ring, but the silence. My own deafening silence. Eventually, she broke the silence. "We should probably go," she said, her voice strained. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Still unable to speak. I mechanically stood up, knocking over my water glass in the process. The water spread across the tablecloth, a clear, cold stain mirroring the emptiness inside me. The waiter rushed over, dabbing at the spill with a napkin. He avoided eye contact, his face a mask of polite indifference. I wanted to tell him, to explain. To shout that my life had just been irrevocably altered, but the words remained locked inside me. We paid the bill, or rather, she did. I just stood there a zombie. watching her swipe her credit card. The whole transaction felt surreal, like a scene from a movie I was watching from a distance. As we walked out of the restaurant, I could feel the eyes of the other diners on us, their whispers following us like a dark cloud. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the pavement, to cease to exist. But I couldn't. I was trapped, forced to endure the walk of shame, a public display of my private heartbreak. The drive home was a blur. I barely remember navigating the streets, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The silence in the car was deafening, punctuated only by the occasional sniffle from her side. I wanted to scream, to swerve off the road, to do anything to break the unbearable tension. But I didn't. I just kept driving, my eyes fixed on the road ahead, trying to block out the image of her hand, adorned with his ring, resting on her lap. Every street we passed, every familiar landmark, felt like a fresh betrayal. Our song came on the radio, and I instinctively reached to turn it off. But she stopped me. "Leave it," she said, her voice barely a whisper. We listened to the song in silence, the lyrics mocking the ruins of our relationship. It was a love song, of course. About forever. About promises. About a future we would never share. When we finally pulled into the driveway, I turned off the engine and sat there for a moment, staring at the house we had made a home. It suddenly felt foreign, alien, a place I no longer belonged. Inside, the silence stretched, taut and suffocating. She went straight to the bedroom, presumably to pack. I wandered into the living room, aimlessly picking up objects, rearranging them, as if trying to restore some semblance of order to my shattered life. There was the framed photo of us on our trip to Italy, laughing, carefree. The throw blanket she knitted, draped over the couch. The stack of books we'd been meaning to read together. Each object a sharp reminder of what I was about to lose. I should have seen it coming. The late nights at the office, the vague excuses, the increasing distance. But I was too busy, too complacent, too secure in my own little world to notice the cracks forming in our foundation. I replay all our moments in my head, looking for tiny details. When did the dynamic shift? When did the looks change? I keep looking for an answer I'm not sure I'll find. Now, of course, it all seems so obvious. The way she'd light up whenever his name was mentioned. The subtle changes in her wardrobe. The new perfume. The unexplained expenses on the credit card bill. I was a fool. A blind, pathetic fool. And Mark. What about Mark? I picture him. Tall, confident, probably drives a fancy car. He's the kind of guy who wears expensive suits and always knows the right thing to say. The kind of guy I've always been slightly intimidated by. He's successful, driven, everything I'm not. I work in IT. I fix computers. He probably runs the whole damn company. I imagine him whisking her away to exotic locations, showering her with gifts, giving her the life I could only dream of providing. It's pathetic, I know, comparing myself to him. But I can't help it. He's the benchmark, the standard against which I've been found wanting. He represents everything I fear I'll never be. I try to hate him, to demonize him, but it's hard. He probably doesn't even know I exist. To him, I'm just some insignificant obstacle he effortlessly brushed aside. A casualty of his ambition. I wonder if she ever compared us. If she ever weighed our strengths and weaknesses, our prospects and possibilities. And if, in the end, I simply didn't measure up. The thought is a knife twisting in my gut. The bedroom door slammed shut, jolting me back to reality. She was gone. Not just from the house, but from my life. Just like that. A chapter closed, a story ended. I walk into the bedroom. Empty. Her closet is half empty, a gaping maw where her clothes used to hang. Her side of the bed is stripped bare, the sheets gone, as if to erase any trace of her presence. The air still smells faintly of her perfume, a cruel reminder of what I've lost. On the nightstand, she's left the vintage engagement ring. My ring. A small, velvet box sitting forlornly amidst the wreckage of our relationship. It's a gesture, I suppose. A sign of what? Remorse? Guilt? Or simply a practical decision? A way to sever the final tie? I pick up the ring box, its weight surprisingly heavy in my hand. I open it, staring at the diamond. It seems dull now, lifeless, devoid of the sparkle I thought I saw when I first bought it. This apartment, it feels so much bigger now. Emptier. Colder. It echoes with the sound of my own breathing. A constant reminder that I'm alone. Truly alone. Maybe this was inevitable. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Not smart enough. Not funny enough. Not successful enough. Maybe she always knew, deep down, that I wasn't the one. I've always struggled with insecurity. Doubts about my career, my appearance, my overall worth. I've tried to hide it, to project an image of confidence. But I suspect she saw through it. Saw the fragile, insecure man beneath the facade. I work hard. I'm kind. I try to be a good person. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe women want more. Maybe they want the excitement, the ambition, the power that I lack. I look in the mirror. The man staring back at me is tired, defeated. His eyes are bloodshot, his face pale. He looks like a failure. And maybe he is. I wonder if Mark ever feels this way. If he ever doubts himself. Or if he's just so inherently confident, so secure in his own skin, that these thoughts never even cross his mind. I suspect it's the latter. And that, more than anything, is what keeps me up at night. If I could go back, I would have said something. Anything. I would have asked her why. I would have confronted her about the late nights, the unexplained expenses, the subtle changes in her behavior. I would have fought for her. Instead, I froze. I let her walk away without a word, without a fight. I ceded control, allowing her to dictate the narrative, to define the terms of our breakup. I imagine a different scenario. Me, standing tall. Confronting her calmly but firmly. Demanding an explanation. Refusing to accept her excuses. Telling her how much she meant to me, how much I was willing to fight for our relationship. I would have told her about my insecurities, my fears, my doubts. I would have laid myself bare, exposing my vulnerabilities in the hope that she would see the real me, the man beneath the surface. But I didn't. I remained silent, trapped by my own fear, my own insecurities. And now, it's too late. The opportunity is gone, lost forever in the wreckage of that disastrous dinner. The words remain unspoken, a haunting echo in the empty chambers of my heart. The future, it's a vast, empty canvas now. A blank slate where once there was a vibrant, detailed painting. We had plans. You know? A house in the suburbs, kids, a dog. The whole 9 yards. Now, that's all gone. Erased. Replaced by uncertainty, by doubt, by the daunting task of rebuilding my life from scratch. I have to find a new place to live. A new routine. New friends, maybe. The thought is exhausting. The prospect of starting over, of putting myself out there again, fills me with dread. I'm not sure I'm strong enough. Not sure I have the resilience to endure another heartbreak. The scars from this one will likely last a lifetime. I try to imagine myself a year from now. Where will I be? What will I be doing? Will I still be haunted by the sound of her laughter? Will I still be comparing myself to Mark? Will I ever be able to trust another woman again? The questions swirl around in my head, a relentless storm with no end in sight. All of my plans have changed. The only constant is change itself, but even more than the uncertainty, more than the heartbreak, more than the daunting task of rebuilding my life. One question keeps nagging at me, worming its way into the deepest recesses of my mind. Did I ever really know her? We shared a life, a home, a bed. We laughed together, cried together, supported each other through thick and thin. Or so I thought. But now I wonder if it was all an illusion. A carefully constructed facade that masked a deeper, more complex reality. Did she ever truly love me? Or was I just a placeholder, a stepping stone on her path to something better? Was our relationship built on genuine affection? Or on convenience, on security, on something else entirely? I look back at our years together, searching for clues, for answers. But all I see are fragments, glimpses, fleeting moments that can be interpreted in 100 different ways. I can't tell what was real and what was fake. I thought I knew her. I thought I understood her. But now I realize that I was living in a dream, a carefully crafted illusion that shattered into a million pieces with a single, cruel laugh. I may have known her name, but perhaps nothing else at all. The clock on the nightstand reads 4:52 a.m. Still no sleep. The moonlight has shifted, casting long, distorted shadows across the room. The laughter has faded slightly, but the echo remains, a persistent hum beneath the surface of my thoughts. I reach for my phone, scrolling through old photos, searching for a glimpse of the woman I thought I knew. But all I see are smiles, poses, carefully curated moments designed to project an image of happiness. I close my eyes, trying to conjure up a memory, a moment of genuine connection. A sign that our love was real. But all I find is emptiness, a void where once there was warmth and intimacy. Maybe that's the most painful realization of all. Not that she chose someone else. Not that she laughed at my proposal, but that the years we spent together may have been nothing more than a lie. A beautiful, elaborate lie that I desperately wanted to believe. Did I ever truly see her? Or was I just projecting my own desires, my own fantasies, onto a blank canvas? Was I in love with her, or with the idea of her? I don't know, and maybe I never will. But as I lie here, alone in the darkness, one thing is certain. I proposed at dinner. She laughed and showed me the ring her boss gave her. And nothing will ever be the same again.